Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. I'm Steve Hood. This is the match preview ahead of Liverpool versus Sheffield United. Thursday night game for the Reds as they look to continue their march, hopefully, towards a Premier League title kickoff. 7:30 UK time. Work it out for yourselves wherever you guys are. Delighted to be joined by Andy and by Lewis to have a big old chat about Liverpool v Sheffield United. And guys, it's interesting, Andy, because everyone's been doing predicting that who's going to finish where and what games is everyone going to get points from, and everyone's just given Liverpool 3 points in Sheffield United and half looking towards Manchester United on Sunday. And I understand that we're top at the moment and they're bottom at time recording, so it's easy to say why, but you've got to be wary, haven't you? You can't really take your eye off the ball in any Premier League game, because listen, Luton came to Anfield and give us a real scare there. Like Sheffield United are in do or die time. Liverpool should win, but it can't be a game that anyone's really overlooking towards Sunday. Yeah,
I know this is on a completely separate level, but the last time I sort of heard chat like this was for the United game just before Christmas.
Yeah.
Where
how many rather than how we...
exactly. People were talking about 7-0s again. They were in terrible form. We were flying, and ultimately they came and parked the bus and got a point. Now, Manchester United at their very worst are still a far better team than this Sheffield United side. Yep. They're bottom of the league, they're bottom of the home league, they're bottom of the away league, they're bottom of the form league. They've conceded the most goals and they've scored the least goals in the league. Yep. By any metric, Sheffield United are the worst team in this league, and although it's just a case of we need to get the points, so we shouldn't take it for granted, we absolutely have to win this game.
Yeah. It's almost as well, Lewis, like for them, obviously they've got 9 games left themselves. As it stands, given the result that Nottingham Forest had yesterday, they're 10 points off. Now they do have 2 games in hand on Forest, but it feels almost do or die time for Sheffield United. Like, it depends what Chrissy Wilder's after, because is he after a win? Is he after take a point because they're probably going to go down anyway? Is he after, let's just take one with us, like let's have a big impact on this league before we go down? Because Andy's right, by every metric they've been the worst team. They have been really, really poor. It'll be interesting to see what approach they come with, because they've been absolutely battered at times away from home. And they've tried to defend and it's not worked. They've tried to attack, it's not worked. It'll be interesting. What do you think Chrissy Wilder's going to do? Is he going to come park a bus? Is he going to come and try and land the blow on Liverpool? I don't know.
Park a bus is probably the more likely option. I think we saw what happened when they played Arsenal and they got, was it like 5-0 by half time, 6-0, something like that. Yeah, I don't see them really coming here and really giving us a big go. But like you said, it's just one of those, this is the game which we expect to win, and we saw that with Luton earlier in the season. We saw that against Forest not too long ago. Like, we can struggle against these teams. And if he does decide to park the bus, notoriously, we do struggle against those kind of teams. I just think that's how it's going to be. I don't think they've got the players capable of marching a major attack on us. The form's so poor at the moment, they're struggling to score goals. They'll probably try and sit back, maybe just knock one off a set piece, probably lump it long to, I don't know, like a Cameron Archer or something like that. But I can't see too much of a threat coming from Sheffield in terms of really going for it. But we definitely can't look at this as a game as, oh yeah, we're going to wallop them like 6-7-0, because notoriously this season we have struggled at times against the lower down teams. Even Sheffield in the last fixture, we were quite poor in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose what they have got going for them, I suppose, and if you're a Sheffield United fan and you're looking at this trying to get some optimism, like they've drew the last 2 games and they've scored 5 goals. Obviously they've conceded 5 as well, but like they've shown a little bit of something. Like they were getting battered every week. They've scored 27 goals all season, and 5 of them have come in the last 2 games. They drew 2-2 with Bournemouth. They then drew 3-3 at the weekend with Fulham. They probably should have lost that game as well, by all accounts, after being in a really good position in it. So they've at least, they got absolutely battered by Brighton, narrowly lost to Wolves, and they got absolutely, they got embarrassed by Arsenal. Like it was one of the biggest gulfs in clash you've ever seen in a Premier League game between 2 sides. I thought that Arsenal game, it could have been 8, 10, 12. Like Arsenal kind of took the foot off the gas, but they have since turned it around. Like I say, a draw at Bournemouth is fine for, it's a good result. A draw at home to Fulham, it isn't the worst thing in the world. Like they've at least got that going for them. Like they found something recently. They haven't completely capitulated since Arsenal wiped the floor with them.
Yeah, it's certainly those last 2 results show that there's still fight left in that Sheffield team. You know, they know they're going down. They know they're going to have to do a pretty big rebuild in the Championship next year, and they're probably looking towards that. But yeah, they've gone up in these games, and they're still fighting and they're still scrapping. And I think that's the one thing that Chris Wilder will always bring to his side. He'll never let them sort of completely give up the ghost. And yeah, they will want to come out of this season. It's not been much fun for them after they got promoted, and they will want to come out with a result against a big team, and they'll be still holding on for that. The only thing I would say about those last two results, as you referenced there, was against Bournemouth, they're 2-0 up and they concede 2 in the last 20 minutes. I think the equaliser is in the 91st minute there. And then against Fulham, they actually go 4-1 up, get the goal chalked off, and Fulham go back to 3 each in the 93rd minute. So they've obviously put a lot into those two games, two sort of winnable or able to get a result games for them. And they've come away with sort of heartbreak in both of them. So where they're at mentally following that, they might just be completely exhausted, and we might get a Sheffield United team which doesn't offer much on Thursday night, and that's what we have to hold out for.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, they it's one of them, Lewis, isn't it, really? Like, I'm just looking at the team they put out at the weekend. Obviously, they drew 3-3. They kind of go 3 at the back, but there's the formation there for those who are watching along. So 3 proper centre-backs, although, Jack Robertson is converted into one of them. With wing-backs, they do use 2 up front. I mean, they did at least that at home to Fulham, and they had to win that game, really, I think, to have any chance. So they did have McBurney and Bertrand Diaz up front, and they did cause a couple of problems. Is he brave enough to come to Anfield and play 2 strikers? Is the very few teams do that. At any point at any time, the Virgil van Dijk and Gerald Quanta both have a man each. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, because he probably should. Because really, if their aim is survival, they probably have to win. Yeah. Now, a point at Anfield might not even be enough, which is that's the hole that Sheffield United have dug themselves. It'll be interesting to see, is he brave enough to go 2 up front? Because he probably has to.
Yeah, I think you're right. And when we played Brentford a few weeks ago, they had 2 strikers up front. I think it was Tony and Mbeumo or Visa, I can't remember who, but it worked really well. Like, it's an effective thing to do when you're trying to split the defence. Yeah. And if they're just going to be lumping balls forward, which I suspect they will, having 2 focal points up front rather than 1 striker who's just going to get marked out the game's important. If they have 2 up front, there's a lot of options for themselves. The whole wing back thing, I think they're quite crap defensively, let's be honest, and they're going to try and bring as many players back as they can, so the only option really for them is to just lump it forward. And with the poor attackers they've got, really, you need 2 of them up front at all points. It's going to be interesting to see who partners with Van Dijk to deal with that, because I think Kwanzaa did really well against Brentford. Konate is coming back, so it's, it is one of those things. I think the 2 striker method is probably the way they're going to go with this one, given how effective it can be in that system that they play.
I suppose, Cam Archer's been injured, but he could be back. He nearly made the weekend, but they have scored 5 goals with that McBurney Diaz combination, Andy, as well. So again, if you're going to try and disrupt Liverpool, I mean, Ollie McBurney, he's horrible to play against. I mean, he's all hands and elbows and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know if you can rough Liverpool centre-backs up. Liverpool teams in the past, you could. I'm not sure you can with these ones, but it might be a different challenge. Like I said, we'll talk about whoever plays alongside Van Dijk, but whoever it is, I'm guessing that's Ollie McBurney if he starts, because I doubt Cameron Archer's going to come and start straight away. They're probably going to play on whoever that is, so will be there's a physical challenge there for somebody to have to deal with. They should be good enough, but it is just something to think about. Yes,
2 at the back, 2 up front in the last couple of years for smaller teams has become a little bit more in vogue. I think the idea is that you pack everyone behind the ball, and if you've just got one man up there, kind of the way like Luton do with Carlton Morris when they come to Anfield, it's impossible for him to do anything. He might hold it up for a couple of seconds, but everyone's so far back that you need to be holding on to the ball for sort of 10-15 seconds before you can get anyone up. Whereas if you've at least got someone to bounce off, you're probably still going to lose it, but there is a little bit of a threat there. And the lad Brereton Diaz, from anything I've seen of him, actually looks all right. He's got a bit of pace about him, and they probably complement each other quite well, and will complement each other quite well in the Championship next season. So we do have to be wary. I would be surprised if Konate doesn't come back in. I think they've sort of earmarked this as give Konate 60-70 minutes or 90 if they feel he's up to it, and then he's completely ready to go for United away at the weekend. And that is, in terms of the narrative of this game, you can't talk about this game without talking about United, because it's such a massive game. We haven't beaten them this season, and it will become this question where, touch wood, if we're 3-4-0 up at half time, do you go for that goal difference, or do you sort of make sure everyone's raring to go for United in terms of minutes? That's something he'll have to consider if we're in that situation.
I think hopefully we are. Like I say, all being told, we've been very respectful to Sheffield United, but also, Lewis, Liverpool should batter Sheffield United. You know what I mean? It all being said, we've been very, actually, they're bottom, the worst team in the league. We're top currently at time recording. Of course, that might change. There's games tonight that we'll talk about in a moment. But Andy's right. Liverpool should be beating Sheffield United, and really, it should be a case of by how many. Do you think that is in any way part of the game plan here? Because again, currently as it stands, before Arsenal and Manchester City have played this evening, we are 6 goals behind Arsenal on the goal difference. We're 2 points ahead of them, and that's the crucial one. But I do wonder, the reason that, again, they got 6 more goals than us is because they beat Sheffield United 6-0.
Yeah.
Like, they absolutely wiped the floor with them. There's the difference. There's Liverpool's chance to maybe try and claw some of that back. I'm always wary when Liverpool try and chase goal difference. I get Crystal Palace flashbacks. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to just win the game before you do anything. Yeah. But Andy's right. There's a conversation to be had of if you're doing what Arsenal did, do you do what Arsenal did and take your foot off the gas because you do have United on Sunday? It's a relatively quick turnaround, or do you try and put the hammer down? Hopefully it's something that we have to consider because it means things have gone well. But I wonder how much of a part that is in the manager's mind currently. I
think it's massive. Like you said, we don't want to be in that situation like the Forest game where we're having to run around and chase in like the 98th minute to try and get a goal. Just get it done quick. Get it done quick and easy. Like we said with the Europa League when we played Sparta, I think it was, just get it done and then rest what you need to. This should be a game where we wallop them, but that's just my concern. I'm not trying to sound negative about it, but they're the matches where we can slip up because I think we do sort of get into our minds. We're getting a sort of overconfidence, which is warranted. We absolutely deserve it, but we can undo ourselves at point. We saw that in the United game in the FA Cup. We did see it against Luton. We almost saw it against Forest. So as long as we just don't expect to take this game as easy as people think we're going to, just get the job done as quick as possible. It doesn't have to be like a 7-8-0, just 2 or 3 goals, asking a bit, but 2 or 3 goals, get it done, rest the players you need to, ready for that United game, and this time go there with a fully fit squad that's going to be able to just put them to the sword and focus on that instead, really. I suppose, well, Andy, what Liverpool will have here that they haven't maybe always had is the strength in depth off the bench might be decent. So yeah, you might be 3-0 up, and just because you take a couple off, again, this is all hoping rather than expecting, if you say to Salah, listen, have half an hour, you can still put on, Harvey Elliott, a Cody Gakpo, Curtis Jones is back available, so he might be an option. Like Ryan Gravenberch probably won't start. There's an option. So even if Liverpool do try and look after a couple of players, there's no lack of intent from it. There's a lot of attacking options still available to him, so you can still try and search goals out whilst looking at, that's the best of both worlds, really. Yeah, that's very true as well. I was thinking that when I was thinking taking players off doesn't necessarily, it probably makes us weaker, but it doesn't take out the possibility of going and winning that by whatever 6 or 7 that we would need to do to crawl back that goal difference. It's a tricky one to sort of manage, because Jurgen will not mention goal difference in that team talk. He will not mention it at all, but it will still be at the back of his mind, and it'll be at the back of all the players' minds. And you look at someone like a Cody Gakpo, who's been bang out of form this season, and I was his biggest champion last year, when he came in. He's made a bit of a mug of me because I was like, why is he not got the number 9 instead of Nunez? And then Nunez had a far better season. But a game like this is perfect for him to sort of come on at, if it is 3 or 4-0, to come on and take the game and get his confidence back, and still play a massive part in the season in doing that. So there's no doubt about it. This league could come down to goal difference. We're 67, Arsenal 65, City 64. If we draw a game and Arsenal win, they're back level in points with us. If we lose a game and City win, they're level in points with us. It absolutely come down to it. It can come down to it. And for us to completely neglect it, of course, the points are more important, but we can't completely neglect the idea of goal difference, especially when we're so close and have an opportunity here to claw it back. I want to be as optimistic as the ice cream man who's just turned up at 10:46am on a rainy April afternoon, and fair enough, he's optimistic. Maybe we should be too. Team news then, Lewis, I'll start with you. I don't know about Andy Robertson. Maybe to give him an extra couple of days. It's whether he goes Gomez or he can go Timmercast at left back if it isn't Robertson. Even if Robbo's fit, I don't know if putting him in now is the best option. Maybe he starts off the bench. Gomez has played a lot. Is it Timmercast time? I think it's Timmercast for this, and then maybe Gomez for United. I think Gomez is warranted starting games, and like you say, he's played a lot. Simicast hasn't played as much as I thought he would. I know he had the injury earlier on in the season. I think it was against Arsenal. He got it, but
Saka done it.
Yeah. So I would like to see Simicast in this. Give Gomez the rest going into the United game, where I think he'll be in a better position to start and probably have more of an impact than Simicast in that match. I think he's better defensively, so I'd agree with Simicast. I think this is the game made for him, where he's going to have license to go forward because everyone's going to sit back and he's going to have to ping a good ball in, which I don't think Gomez is the best at on the left. Put Simicast there, good ball into the middle for Nunez.
It feels like the most attacking option, doesn't it, Andy? If it isn't going to be Robertson, which again, he's had that issue with Scotland, so maybe they do want to look after him a little bit.
That was our fault, that, by the way.
Yeah, your boys done him, didn't they? Pricks. But no, it's absolutely fine. You've looked after Conor Bradley well, so we can do a bit of both. But the Tsimikas thing is, you know, if you are looking to score goals early, if you're not too worried about the attack of Sheffield United, Costas is, again, Lewis is right. Like if someone's going to be delivering set pieces and balls into the box and just offering that, like Gomez is game. You know, he will get on the overlap, he'll get forward, but also Costas does have that little bit extra quality over Gomez in the attacking third. So it feels like a very good game for Costas to play.
Yeah, it's two attacking fullbacks for me. It has to be for this one. I mean, Gomez has done brilliantly, and I agree with Lewis in the sense that I think he comes in on Sunday and you go to Old Trafford and you start him there. However, yeah, it has to be two attacking fullbacks for this. They're going to get forward, they're going to get chances, and you know, it's well documented every time Joe Gomez gets the ball at Anfield that he's not the most proficient in front of goal and isn't really a numbers man from fullback. So Bradley absolutely has to play, and Bradley will really relish a game like this where he can get forward. And you know, I thought he played really, really well again at the weekend. His dribbling's coming on as much as his sort of crossing and getting to the byline, I think. And at left back, yeah, it's a sports science question. It's whether Robertson can do 60-70. Do you want Robertson there for the weekend? If he sees Robertson playing at Old Trafford, he might give him sort of the optimum number of minutes in this one. But if not, Kostas Tsimikas, listen, he divides opinion, I think it's fair to say.
I think he's had a good season when he's been fit.
I think he has as well, but like, yeah, he has his moments, doesn't he, when he comes on in the League Cup final, you know, geez, before he puts that cross in, it's an all-time performance from him. But you know, his big strength is crossing and his whip balls into the box. And you're right as well, you know, with Núñez in there, he'll relish those opportunities. I think Tsimikas to Núñez is as born fruit for us at times. So, you know, they're going to get space, they're going to get space out wide, and they're both good attacking players. So, you know, it could be one of those where they're absolutely crucial to this now. And, you know, yeah, it depends on whether they want Robertson for the weekend. If they don't, I think you just go Tsimikas and then you go Gomez.
Got a comment here from Sonny who says ideally Konate gets some minutes before Sunday too. Lewis, it's interesting because there's obviously something they're managing Konate's minutes. It's clear. He was on the bench at the weekend, but he's had this muscle issue that he got, and then he's been in and out of the team. But he did play a full game for France, and then obviously he misses a very big game against Brighton. It's whether they believe did he think they really need him at Old Trafford? Because if they do, what's better? Is it better that he doesn't play, or does he, like again, it's a sports science thing? Does he need the minutes, or are you better saying actually have 10 days off? And we'll go real intense, and we because we need you at Old Trafford. Quanta won't let Liverpool down. Quanta will play either Thursday or he'll play Sunday. I just don't see a world where Konate plays both. I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
No, I completely agree, and it's a difficult one because on one hand you could say Konate needs minutes against Sheffield, give him 45 so that he's a little bit fresh for the United game, but then it's like, well, would he be fresh for United then? We don't know the extent of how injured he's been. You could say, okay, play him against Sheffield, rest him against United, but it's a bigger fix. Like, there's so many different ways doing it. I think the Matip injury has probably spurred us into managing the minutes better. I think we've had a bit of a panic and went, we can't be rushing these lads back like we used to. We've got to take our time with them. And Kwanzaa's come at the right time to deputise for that. I don't see Konate playing against Sheffield, and if he does, it'd be like you said before, if we have got a bit of a considerable lead and then we maybe bring him on just for a bit of fitness. I can't see us starting him and then taking him off, potentially disrupting a back line, which we might be 0-0, we might be 3-0 up. We don't really know, but either way, the United game is the starting game for him, I think, 100%.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what he needs. Bossman says, anyone know how Diogo Jota's doing, how long? So, Jürgen confirmed after Brighton, the only person who back will be Curtis Jones. Andy Robertson was waiting to see, but they're probably going to err on the caution if not. We'll find out later when he does a press conference, but Curtis Jones is the one. So let's talk about midfield then, Andy. Moving on to that, is that Curtis, he said he's been training since Saturday. It was just that the intensity of the session on Saturday probably wasn't enough for him to have a game straight away on the weekend, on the Sunday. There is a case to throw him straight back in again. He was in great form. Looking ahead to the weekend, is he going to start at Old Trafford? I don't know, but there's unlike someone like a Konate who's minutes you're managing, I don't think he needs to do that with Curtis. It was an impact injury, you know. It was one of those that it's a bit unlucky. He's back fit now and available. There's a genuine option, a genuine case. So you know what, straight back in, get yourself in the team and continue where you left off.
Yeah, there is. I don't think he's going to get his shirt right back in terms of like the starting 11, but it's a case of managing the three who have been playing more or less every game recently, managing their minutes. Endo, I think after the League Cup final, didn't Jurgen say, like, I can't believe his hamstrings haven't popped or something along those lines, and then he goes and plays 90 minutes in every game since. So, it would be such a blow to lose Endo at this point, the form he's putting in. Alexis McAllister, for me right now on form, is probably the best midfielder in the league, so we don't want to lose him either, but at the same time he's not going to be dropped. And Szoboszlai has been like a little bit hit and miss of late, ever since he came into the team and did so well at the start of the season. But again, it's about managing his minutes. And is it a case of sort of taking Szoboszlai out just for this one, giving Curtis Jones 60 minutes and having Szoboszlai a bit fresher for the weekend? Because at times I think Szoboszlai's looked a little bit leggy, and I think that could just be his style of play at times and his mannerisms. But I think, yeah, it'll just be a case of having them fully flying for United. As I say, I can't see for European Cup final tomorrow the way everyone's playing. I think you have to go Endo, McAllister and Szoboszlai. But Gravenberch's been back in. I don't think he's had a start since he's been back.
Harvey Elliott, man, what did you have to do?
Absolutely, yeah. He's been so unlucky. He's sort of been like the 12th man all season, and he's performed that role so well. And hopefully, Jurgen send him. Even though you're not starting these games, you're having such an impact in this season, and he feels valued in that sense. So yeah, we've got options now. We've got options off the bench, which is another thing. Where these games go one each in 80 minutes, we can change it, and we haven't always had those. We haven't always had that option this season. So the League Cup final is the biggest example of that. So yeah, it's good to have these back, and there will be opportunities for them in Europe, as I say, to win their shirt back and be in the starting team for this run-in.
Yeah. Two questions, Andy. What would you do, and what do you think Jurgen's going to do in his midfield?
Midfield, I think both answers are to stick with what it is. I think at this point he's not going to mess around with it too much. He's going to ask him to go again. If we're going to win this league, it's going to have to be, at least 8 wins and a draw. So he's going to have to get 100% out of them. They're going to have to put everything into it, and just ask them to keep going and keep going. I think that's Jurgen's MO. That's how he gets that out of his players that other managers can't. I think he'll ask them all to go again.
Do you agree, Lewis?
Yeah, I don't see Jones starting. He'll probably do the whole come on in the 70th minute kind of thing. The Szoboszlai one's interesting because didn't Klopp say something recently like he's been playing a new role, or like he's found a new way of getting the best out of him? So he's found something that's starting to get him back to form. I think Szoboszlai will be useful in this game as well because he's the most willing to shoot from distance in that midfield, and if we're against a Sheffield team who's just going to sit back, you need players like that. There's no Trent in the team to do it, so that's a key thing to have. I pretty much agree. I think Szoboszlai, Endo, McAllister is probably going to be the way to go for it. Jones will come on a bit later on, get him a bit of fitness. He'll probably rest McAllister because he's played so many minutes lately, rest him for the United game. I can see Szoboszlai probably coming off at some point. Like I said, we've just got so many options. Like, we're not in a predicament like we were a few seasons ago where it's just who's going to start every single game pretty much without fail. It's so hard to predict who's going to play and who's going to be on the bench, and it's just such a difficult. It's a good situation to be in, but I can't see much changing at the moment. Like I said, we need to keep the consistency. We're in the biggest part of the season. Trying to change everything now and tweak it based on the opponent probably isn't the way to go.
Is there a world anyway for you, Lewis, where Cody Gakpo starts again? Given we've just played Sunday, we're playing Thursday, we're playing again Old Trafford away Sunday. My guess is at Old Trafford you want Núñez, Diaz, Salah.
Yeah.
Is there a world where Cody Gakpo starts tomorrow night? Yeah,
and again it goes back to that deep.
Where do you think that could be? What is it centre forward?
In the middle, yeah, because Gakpo isn't. For all that he's a very good technical player, he can be great on the ball at points. He's not the quickest of players. He's better when he's coming deep as a false nine. And against the Sheffield team who are going to sit back, he's going to try and bring players towards him because otherwise Salah can't do anything with space. Diaz, who I think is going to start on the left, he's not going to be able to do anything with space. So having Gakpo there to draw players towards him, creating the space for them, get a goal or two ahead, and then you can bring Núñez on just to sort of go put the fear of God in them. Crosses into him as they try and sit back deeper is probably the best way to do it, and he needs form, like you said before. I don't think he's been awful, Gakpo, but out of the five, he's definitely been the one who's impressed the least, and this is the game for him to really show that he can impact games as more than just an off-the-bench player who occasionally gets a goal. This can be something where his ability can change our tactics to make us perform better against Sheffield than just go out there and just...
What do you think, Andy?
I think there's an argument for it as well. It's a case of whether he's going to make a few changes. He has done it at times in different games. I just can't see it necessarily happening with so few games to go, and especially seeing we've got that those 2 games against Atalanta coming up. So for the likes of Gakpo, he's nailed on to starting those. Elliott's nailed on to starting those. Gravenberch, you would think as well. Probably Curtis Jones. That'll probably be the midfield for that one. So there is an argument for it, and I wouldn't be averse to it as well. Sort of from a tactical point of view, they've got 3 centre halves there. They're all going to play very narrow. And if Gakpo's on form, he takes centre halves out like Firmino did. He pops it off, and there's space for the other players, for your Salas, whoever plays on the left, probably Diaz, and then the fullbacks as well. So from a tactical point of view, there's an argument for it. And also, I am well aware that, like, I've mentioned this quite a bit, but if we, at the end of the day, we expect to be a couple of goals up at halftime against Sheffield United. So this should come into our conversation. If we do go 3 or 4-0 up, and you say to Núñez, right, go on there and get the goal difference up, he'll be relishing that, you know what I mean? And for 3 tired centre halves who have been battered and bruised all day and been dragged everywhere by Gakpo, to then see Darwin Núñez coming on is probably the last thing they want to see as well. So there's definitely a tactical argument for it. I just think he's going to play his best 11, get the game won, and then bring players on like that, knowing that we've got those 2 Atalanta games coming up.
And I think that's probably the wise thing. You rest players once you've got the points, rather than trying to bring them back on. We are recording this obviously Wednesday morning. Arsenal played Luton tonight, Manchester City past Villa, moving towards the title race, Lewis. It feels like this is a week where everyone should hold serve, like Arsenal should bat. I mean, who knows? And again, you might be watching or listening to this afterwards, I apologise, but Villa's tricky for City, but obviously with no Watkins, no Ramsey as well, and the fact that it's at home, it's probably made things a little bit more comfortable. You'd expect Arsenal to beat Luton as well. It does feel like this is a week where everyone just holds serve, or should be holding serve, and the only thing that can change, like Andy said, is the goal difference. Really, we're not expecting too much from Luton and Villa, are we? I mean, there's a very good chance that Liverpool, go in. If City actually batter Villa, there's a chance Liverpool 3rd going into the Sheffield game. Now, are City going to put 6 past Villa? I mean, who knows? I think they're capable of doing anything, but there's a very good chance Liverpool are on top when we kick off against Sheffield United. Is that fair to say? Yeah,
there is, but we're not holding out much hope really that Luton can get something against Arsenal. No offence to Luton. Same with the Villa City thing.
Yeah.
But we've seen Norwich beat City, we've seen Palace beat City, we've seen teams go to Arsenal and embarrass them at points. It can happen, and at the moment we just need to keep getting the results that we need to stay top of this league. We are in a position now where we don't have to rely on other teams. We have our own destiny in our own hands. Yeah. If we just get our own wins, not a problem. City and Arsenal can do whatever they want. If they drop points along the way, fantastic, but I'm not holding out massive hope that City are capable of going on like a 15-game winning streak. We know that. Arsenal, this is probably the best Arsenal team in 15, 20 years or so. So I'm not seeing them dropping many more points. It can happen, but we just need to focus on ourselves really, and just make sure that we get the 3 points, because we've still got tricky fixtures coming up.
Absolutely. I think if Watkins was available against the City back line, that's been a little bit. I mean, they're not bad by all accounts, but they're not as probably watertight as they have been. And you might have, can they get it on the break? But without him, it's hard to see Villa. Again, Villa's form is so hit and miss recently. They had a really good run, and now they've just started to have a little bit of a wobble. Maybe fixtures and injuries are starting to pile up. They did get a good win, of course, last time out. If anyone's going to do something, I'd be shocked if Luton. I mean, who knows? Luton have given a couple of bloody noses, but ultimately they tend just to lose. That's been that kind of their MO this season. Villa, of course, coming on the back of a decent win over Wolves, but they did lose the main man, and that does feel a little bit like that was the only hope you might have had if Ollie Watkins could do a madness. That's not there for them anymore.
Yeah, I think first of all, in terms of the Arsenal-Luton game, the best we can hope for is like a sort of hammer and tongs Luton performance where they maybe go 1 or 2 goals up, but I still even think in that situation,
just trying to take some legs out of them.
Yeah, I still even think in that situation Arsenal probably go on to win the game. So yeah, I hold out no hope of Arsenal dropping points in this round of fixtures. City's a little bit different, I think. You're right, Watkins makes it very difficult, but Unai Emery's come into this league with something to prove. He had all this European pedigree. He was in a laughing stock at Arsenal, rebuilt his reputation at Villarreal, has come in this season and has made them really, really strong. And I think they're 4th in the league, 2 ahead of Spurs now with the same games played. So, if they lose tonight, then that sort of puts it back in Spurs' hands. And obviously there's twists and turns because top 4 teams going for the top 4 drop points. That's why they're not in the title race. But yeah, I think they'll be looking at that and thinking like a point's a really good result tonight. And Emery's like a real sort of tactician. He'll want to go to Guardiola to Man City and get something there and show that he's tactically really strong, which we already know.
Were you going to watch it?
I am going to watch it. Yeah. I get to the point where I watch every City game and every Liverpool game and sort of switch off from football altogether. Apart from that, but they can go there and get something, and they beat them at home 1-0. They beat Arsenal at home 1-0. They've landed a bloody nose on both of them already this season. They'll want to keep doing that. And in terms of like the fixtures City have left, it's probably in the top two, certainly 2 or 3 most difficult ones. So if they are going to drop points again, there's a good chance it'll have to be tonight.
Villa have depth as well. Like they have got a lot of players who can play in that
squad. Who replaces Watkins? Who's there?
Diaby.
They've got Diaby.
He's not a bad player, is he?
Leon Bailey, Zaniolo, I think, as well. He's another one. There's a lot of... They've got options. Like, it's not a threadbare squad like a lot of people make out.
Fingers crossed, yeah. Unlike Luton, by the way, you've got the whole team injured and all the subs. Well, bless them, they're in a bit of a pickle at the moment. Right then, with all that being said, can I get a score prediction for the game? We had a members chat from James Lim, who says, I fancy a 4-0 win against Sheffield United. Lewis, higher or lower?
4-1. It'll be some sort of spawny corner.
Well, if it's anything like us, we'll concede first.
Yeah. First minute.
Yeah, that's the concern, going one down, and then it becomes a sort of Luton scenario. And after the weekend, I just can't be bothered with that. Give me one sort of nice one before we go into inevitably 8 absolute sort of heartbreakers, or gut wrenchers. I think we're going to win 6-0.
6-0. Wow. Okay. I'm thinking 4 as well. I'm going to go with James. Just to let you guys know as well, if you want even more extended coverage around the game, do go and check out redmenplus.com. We've got a special offer for you as well. If you join up to redmenplus.com right now as a yearly captain and use the code RACE, RACE, do you get it? Title race, all that kind of stuff. Then you'll get a year's worth of content for half price. So that gets you the rest of this, hopefully, trophy-laden season. You'll get the new manager search, the summer transfer window, and pretty much all of next season as well. So redmenplus.com, yearly captain, use code RACE. Help support us here at Redmen HQ, and of course, get some extra content, including all the post-game stuff after the Sheffield United match, like I say, the instant match reaction, player ratings, and all that good stuff. We've got some interviews on there as well. Guillaume Balaguer talking about Xabi Alonso. That's out now as well. Really good chat. He said he reckons Alonso still will manage Liverpool one day, for example, just not yet. So redmenplus.com is the place to go for all that one. For the game itself, I will be on watch along duty on the YouTube channel. The game is 7:30 UK time, so work it backwards. We'll go live at 7:15 for the watch along. We'll be live an hour before that at 6:15 to react to the team news on the Uncensored Match Builder. So do come and check that out as well. If you're watching the match alone and you want to feel that community feel, then Redmen watch alongs are the place to come. We've got the live chat, the songs, the biased commentary as well, rather than listening to the idiots on the telly. So we've got you all covered. Thanks very much, Lewis, for coming in. Thanks very much, Andy, for coming in as well. Thanks all you guys for watching or listening to this episode of the Match Preview. And we'll see you for the Sheffield United game. See you in a bit.
Thank you so very, very much for checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like. The season is now well underway. If you need extra Redmen content, be it podcasts, videos, documentaries, interviews, and general shows, fill your boots on redmenplus.com today.